that everyone here has made idlis, and to me the proof of a good idli is that it's light and fluffy. I think you confirmed that. That's the proof of what makes it good. It's light, like a cake, and fluffy, like a cupcake. But it's hard to get them because the temperature of the room and the temperature of the ovens and the brand of the oven, they're all different. And the temperature in the air here is very uncertain and unpredictable. So that's why I asked Jadish, and maybe some of you have some questions to ask him about not only about the recipe, but the technique and things like that.
So yeah, I just wanted to say that we probably have an hour and 20 minutes to discuss idlis.
No,
Jadish probably has to leave early.
It's okay.
Well, less
It's
maybe.
okay.
No, I haven't finished yet. Don't interrupt me. Do not interrupt me. I haven't finished. I mean, we have about 1 hour and 20 minutes to discuss idlis first. And after that, we'll have a question and answer session with Guru Maharaja.
And I brought my blender just in case. You can tell by hearing it. It's pretty heavy duty. But he said that you have to have a very high speed blender, and it hasn't. So any special tips you want to give about making?
Yeah, we're not going to detain you for 2 hours here. Feel free to leave at any time, but after you spoke.
Well, firstly, I won't present myself as an expert idli maker, but I just do what I've been told to do. And I think Nikunja Mataji told me. So I do a 1 part urad dal, 3 parts jasmine or basmati rice. Jasmine,
just
Even jasmine or basmati rice, because we were using this special idli rice.
Oh well, possibly, but
You don't need it.
I don't know the intricacies of what an idli is supposed to taste like, because I've just made it one particular way. And my kids like it that way, and I like it that way. So I haven't I haven't actually even tried anybody else's idlis. So I just use jasmine rice, and I blend them separately in a high-speed blender. You have to be a bit careful with the urad dal because it will overload your blender. It'll overheat it because it becomes very viscous when you blend it. When you soak you wash your rice and you wash your urad dal and you keep them in a separate bowl when you just soak them for 2 or 3 hours, and then when you're blending your urad dal, you take most of the water out, but you keep a little bit of the soaked water in there because that'll help the fermenting process. Put it in the blender, blend it up, and then you just mix the two together when they're thoroughly blended, and then you just whisk it around. And then put a tea towel over the top and leave it in the sun for maybe 4 hours, 5 hours, like that. And it will rise, it'll start to ferment. You'll see it'll become fluffy and light. It won't just stay the same, it'll become a little light and airy like that.
What if there's no sun?
Well, you'd have to just wrap it as warm as you can. You'll find that when you blend it, the mixture will become a little warm anyway, just from the viscosity of the high speed, and that will help the fermenting process too. You could wrap it up in a blanket just like you're making bread, and you want it to rise, and you can keep it warm like that, or you can put it in a really low oven, but then you have to be a bit careful, otherwise it starts to bake.
So Murti was saying that what she does is turns the oven to 40 degrees Celsius, and then turns it off because in Russia, or whatever brand it was that she used in Smolensk in Russia, it got warmer it didn't stay at 40 degrees, it got warmer, so she'd have to turn it off and then let it cool down and then turn it back on. So a lot of this is experimental because to make perfect idlis the first time is going to be almost impossible. You just have to experiment and get feedback. Isn't that right?
Actually, I wasn't talking about idli. I was making sourdough like that, to make it grow. So I was just wondering if we can use the same with idli because it's too cold. Where I live, it's just too cold. It doesn't ferment. It rots.
Even in winter here, it won't ferment if you leave it outside. So just to keep it as warm as you can, and then a little trick: you can put a little bicarb mix it with water after you've left it sit for some time, you know. Get a little bicarb, mix it with water, and you can just tip that in as well, you know, and that'll help it
Just
rise.
a bit.
Bicarb
While
soda.
it's still fermenting, or just before actually
When it's
making?
just before you're going to cook it.
Just before.
Yeah. And of course, then you add salt as well, and I find I can add water to the mix as well if it's too thick, or you know, like I'll add a bit of water to it and thin it down.
Boiled water?
No, just water. Just water. And then I'll put them in my idli whatchamacallit, and I'll boil it. I'll steam it for I think 10 minutes is enough.
For me, it sounds completely different with what we heard before. Starts with the sort of rice you suggest to use. For me, it sounds completely different. And the soaking time and cooking time, it's all different.
So Guru Maharaja, you've eaten traditions idli?
No, but he agrees with me that they have to, in the end product has to be light and fluffy. And if it's not, then there's something that we have to do differently.
You might think my idlis are terrible.
No, I mean, the main thing is that they What's that?
All idlis are terrible.
Maharaji doesn't like idlis.
It's difficult because idlis are not fair that Prabhupada taught us how to make because it's South Indian and Bengali cooking is different. It's really different. And I think that Ganga's just a little out of practice, and I don't know. I mean, I'm just speculating, but maybe Nikunja, she's very busy with a lot of things, so maybe she can't, you know, get it just right the first time. And it's just a kind of an experiment with cooking. I don't know much about cooking, but I think you just have to do different things until it comes out the way you want it to come out.
And Guru Maharaja, we're all making these idlis for you, and we all want you to like them.
Yeah.
So it is sort of up to you to let us know which one you like, and then we can ask that
Well,
person.
I think the ones I've been having, I think Amorti is making really light ones. I don't know how she does it, but she can tell you that there are tricks or techniques or procedures to make it light. And I have a question to ask Tradish. Are they light and fluffy after they're steamed, or are they that way before they're steamed, or both?
No, the steaming process makes them rise, Maharaj, and it makes them light.
No, I mean at the very end, right before they're served. Sometimes they're steamed just so they're not served cold.
Are you asking is the lightness of it does it make any difference if they're sitting for some time, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think they kind of stay the same. It's just a matter of if they're hot or cold.
I see. So the end steaming just is a matter of heating them. That's all it does. Okay. Does that make any sense?
We'll see in the process.
Yeah, I mean I've got a steamer, so I either have some steam them or steam them myself, or have them warm. And as far as I know, they don't really have any taste, at least. That's where they dip them in chutneys. Are they a little salty or what?
You do put salt in the batter, and some people like Krishna Bhavana, Maharaji, she likes them sour. She wants that
Real
sour
sour.
taste, and personally I don't like it. But
I think the ones I've had in India are just slightly sour. They're not real sour. The ones I've had, they used to at the Mumbai temple, Juhu, they used to have a snack bar, and I used to eat them every day, idli, and they had some kind of chutney, coconut chutney. But they were very. I remember they were very light, and I don't think they had any taste, any distinguishable taste anyway. So what's the purpose of putting the salt in there?
gives them. If you don't put salt in something, Maharaj, it's even less taste. It's very bland.
Yeah.
Any other questions to try this program?
And how much water do you actually put for the batter? Or is it just...
Well, if you put too much water in, you're going to have your batter's going to be too thin. So it's just a matter of how you... Well, I can show you. My batter is right here, and this is what it looks like. Just grab a spoon, Shalini?
Over there. Over there.
I brought the thing in this bag is the blender that I have, and it's a very high speed. And Raju says that you have to use a very powerful high speed blender to make the batter proper.
So it's got a bit of air in it, see, so it's like, yeah. And it's a little bit gritty still, so it's just the rice, you know.
It's not thin though.
It's not thin, no. If you, I can't see it, I can't see it.
It's not Vrindavan, what was it called?
Vrindavan lassi.
It's not Vrindavan lassi.
I can't imagine making an
Mahan
idli.
was trying to describe it. It's not
Oh,
lassi.
no,
It's like,
definitely not.
it's like better for pancakes.
So
Yeah,
shall we make now from this batter?
If you like, well, I've already made some, but
Oh, you already made some.
We don't need to
From the
because
same
then
kind of batter.
same batter marriage. Yeah.
Yeah, the one, mine never is that running.
Okay, Gumash, can you taste one?
Oh, they're all right.
they look great. Actually, Nikunja's
I can
recipe
just
was
tell by the
great,
feel that
right?
it's very light and fluffy.
Yeah.
And
until-
and it's slightly salty, but it doesn't have a lot of taste.
So it's up
It's
to you.
mostly bland.
Yeah.
But I like these.
Sorry.
They're really, really super.
Thank you.
No, I mean that.
So I think everyone should taste them.
Yeah, taste.
Just the smell of the herb.
Yeah. Until we realized that it was mold on the surface, pinkish and bluish and greenish,
That's not
Nikunja's
good. That's a
recipe
bad
was
sign.
great,
I didn't really need to.
Well, I
except
would,
the part of mold.
See, these are different, even though the batter is the same as the dosha, the difference is that a dosha has a little crispy surface to it. And this is not a dosha class, this is Italy.
It was quite humid yesterday. It was quite humid, so I had it wrapped up.
And I think ovens are all different, like different brands of ovens. There's Westinghouse and there's Bendick. I don't know who makes them, but they're all different. And some of them maintain the fixed temperature that you set them at, and others don't.
Well, has anyone else brought idlis? You brought one? Can we?
Brought some in leaves.
No,
Can-
not after tradition.
No, why not?
and these, I don't know that these would technically be called idlis because, you know, they don't taste fermented. I mean, I would prefer those, but to me that's a rice bread, like a steamed bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe Italy is meant to be more fermented, more sour.
Yeah.
Out of all I tasted, I would prefer these ones.
Well, that's what my girls like, so that's what I make.
And these are made from basmati or jasmine rice?
Jasmine.
Actually, it's basmati marriage.
It's
Oh,
basmati.
really? Oh, it tastes great.
Did you get the basmati at that Indian store, Singh's? Or you can get it anywhere?
No, I buy them just when they're on special in Coles. Yeah.
Basmati rice.
For me,
probably
that's
cheaper.
good.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, clean.
Well, these look pretty far out too.
Whose are those?
Yours? And they're very light as well.
Mm.
Yeah, this is the right texture, the right consistency. Yours are slightly saltier,
Yeah.
so maybe you can add a little bit of salt. But yeah, it's very good.
Is your recipe much different than
It's a little sour, a little more sour too.
different? Okay.
Maybe fermented a little longer.
Okay.
So, Ramesh, which one do you prefer?
I like
Out of
British
two.
is the best so far.
Okay, anyone else? Sita?
Yeah, can we try some of Malini's?
Well, this is Anna Mohan's recipe,
Mhm.
but it's been in the fridge for 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I wasn't going to bring them, but you said to bring them, so I did.
This is a little bit more hard,
No, it's
Yeah,
two
I see
weeks.
and it's
No, but the 2 weeks they became
it's more
The
chewy.
better is
puffed up. No. Yeah.
I
You
think.
fast?
Come on in.
Come in.
Have some idli.
I think Tradish is very nice.
Okay.
Where does it live?
this is the main thing here, and also it started here. And do we have leakage here?
Yes.
Yeah, so those three kind of places. This line and
It's okay.
No, good thing.
Idli?
Yeah, so the idea is not to keep it too long, not more than 2 days or something like that in the fridge, or what do you think? Because these are, those ones, they taste a lot harder. I mean, they are harder, and they taste harder, they're chewier, they're thicker.
I find if you leave the batter in the fridge, it has less rising capacity after a couple of days. Yeah, so, yeah. When they first, this was, I blended that up yesterday morning, and I left it out all day yesterday, and this morning, you know, I left it out of the fridge last night also.
You just had it inside the house? Because there was no sun yesterday.
Yes, but it was still humid, so I
was
still
very
had it
humid.
outside, and you know, there was a little bit of sun maybe, you know,
Yeah, a
it was
little
still humid, so,
I see.
yeah.
Because that's where the problem, I started putting mine in the fridge when we were using Nukunja's recipe, because there's no way in that summer that we could have left any food out for 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 days. I think that's a real fermenty thing where it has to be sour. And,
But they just went moldy.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I would leave them out for 1 day and then put them in the fridge, because I was trying to at least have them made the week before, because that's what the recipe said. But then Manna Mohan's was just used. So this one is meant to be just made the day before, right? Or yeah. Does anybody have one of Manna Mohan's that is just
No, my one is also a bit old,
okay?
so not just
Onu
recent.
koyayım mı? Onu koyalım.
Should we try yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's in a blue container there.
And
This is also very light, I can feel it, and fluffy, and soft, and like cotton.
did you cook for 25 minutes like his recipe says?
No,
This is very good.
Because his recipe says.
But yours are better. This is slightly fermented.
Yes, because the dough is 2 weeks old. Yeah. So
But it's
one-
still fluffy, so it means
Yeah.
that its rising capacity
But I
is still.
don't mind if it's a little bit sour, you know, I mean, that's okay.
But Guru Maharaja, you would have had, Sita, would Guru Maharaja have had one of Manna Mohan's? I mean, he did when he was staying
But
there.
they vary, that's the problem. Even Madam Mohan's, they've changed from one day to the next.
Is that, do you know, Guru Maharaja, if that was because the dough might have been in the fridge, or
Yeah, it definitely is that really.
did anybody make Manna Mohan's recipe and serve it to Guru Maharaja the day after, Sita?
Yeah, yours are a lot less sour.
Did you ever make
But
Manna
I like
Mohan's
that.
recipe and serve it to Guru
But
Maharaja?
maybe doshas are meant to be sour.
Just like,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, well, some people say that.
So Guru Maharaja, Sita has made Manna Mohan's recipe and served it to you the day after, which is what his initial,
I go,
but obviously,
we're just trying different Idlis.
I heard. Thank you for the invite. Feel very honored
Do
to
you
be
know
here.
everybody here? Rada?
Yes,
Ranchor, this is
yeah, we've
Ranchor,
met.
and his wife Lajavati.
Sita, John,
Lajavati,
Lajavati,
Yep.
Hare Krishna. Very well.
tradition.
Tradish, I know you very well.
Yeah, well, so
we
far,
exchanged
so
samosas and
far,
pancakes.
I personally like
She
traditions
makes
ones.
pancakes for breakfast on
So
Thursdays.
maybe you can just do a quick review for her, what we've done so far, what we have, the recipes, and, you know, urdal, how much urdal, how much water, how much rice.
Maharaj, I cannot tell this woman
Okay.
how to cook, you know. She is
Well, she wants to learn.
I've never made
She's never made
Idlis.
No?
Or dosas, and they're my favorite food.
It would be
So
good.
I really would love to learn.
Would also be good for others to listen again. I guess.
Yeah,
Okay, again, same?
same thing.
Maybe we can have a sip.
Can I have a look?
Yeah. This one and try this one.
This is Tradish made, these are Sitas,
Yeah.
and this
Lajavati.
is a Morti,
Mursi.
I haven't brought
no,
them.
whoop.
Oh, I thought it's yours.
And this is Malanese.
mine are not counting.
Anyway, we go, just refresh us all.
Cooking jalapeno,
Nice.
You can just
Yeah.
Rather, do you need a pen and paper to write down the?
No.
No? Why not?
Nobody could do that.
Because it's all in there, and then I change it up.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. Actually, no, I should have everything. I've never made idlis. I have a question. Idli and dosa batter is the same?
Yes.
Okay. That's
Ask him because he's the
That's
expert.
the most-
He's the best.
my most pressing question.
That's
Are
what we
they
do.
exactly the same?
We do that. Well, I don't know about officially, but at Lucid we use the same batter.
Okay.
The
So
difference is that the just have a little crispy outside.
Yeah, I mean, they're made on
But
the
it is the same
pan.
batter.
Yeah, same batter.
So you know how to make dosas.
No, what I would have done is Google it, and then I would have changed it
I
up.
think, Tradish, you should just give a quick review
Yeah.
for all of us.
Right. 3 parts basmati or jasmine rice, 1 part urad dal. Wash them thoroughly,
Що так?
soak them for probably 3 hours or so. The blender, you take most of your urad dal water out, but you keep a little bit of the soaked water in just to help the fermenting. You really need to give it a good buzz, but it will stress the machine out. I've often
I brought my blender because this is a fairly high-speed blender, and Pradesh said that if you don't use a high-speed blender, it's not going to be proper.
you will still get the consistent
Like, is that
smooth
Vitamix?
consistency.
This is, I forget, I got this from the grocery,
Looks like a Vitamix.
It's a Semek, yeah, that's
but that's a
from,
very high-speed
Donna
one.
Karan's.
Yeah, I got it from Don Dakota.
And
And he said the Breville is
Wow.
notorious
Yeah, that's
for not, you know, for making cheap blenders.
yeah, they won't have the speed. Yeah, blend the rice, blend the urad dal.
Together?
No,
Separately?
separately. I don't know why, but that's what I was told. And then you mix them together in a bowl, just whisk it up. It's got to have this sort of consistency. It's got to be, it can't be too thin, because I can't see it rising if it's thin. I don't know how you can get a nice fluffy idli with a thin dough. And yeah, then just let it sit in the sun if you've got sun, or in a warm place. Wrap it up as best you can. Put it in a blanket even.
So like a yogurt or a dough, like you want to keep
like
it
yogurt or
warm.
dough. Yeah.
And for how many hours?
I'm quite happy to leave mine out all day, you know. And then
Do you need to cover the container?
yes. Otherwise it gets a little film on top, you know.
I see.
And yeah, then you'll see it when it's actually risen a little bit. You'll just see that it's kind of risen and light.
Does it like bubble a bit?
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't bubble as in you know, as in.
It's not like
It doesn't
fermenting.
bubble, but it lightens up. It just ferments a little bit. And yeah, then add salt. That's it.
So you add the salt once it's...
If you want, you can try dishes here. See what they taste like. It's just there's a little bit of saltiness there, and a little bit of sourness, but it's very minor. That's I think the perfection of Italy, right there.
But
These other ones are very good, very close. This one is a little bit more fermented, which you know, maybe that's what Italy's are supposed to be, but you know, maybe for your cooking program you're gonna have it more, or I don't know, you know about cooking, have it more fermented. But I like it not fermented.
So the difficulty we will have is we're making them for lunch, not for dinner. So when you go 5 hours for in the sun, 3 hours for soaking, then yeah, so that's 4 in the morning. Then you're blending them, soaking them. Yeah, so that you know to make those for Guru Maharaja's lunch, we'd have to be starting them about 3:30 in the morning.
But the dough
Or the
lasts
day before?
for how many days?
Yeah, so that was my next. He
It
doesn't do
does
that.
deteriorate when you put it in the fridge for you know, overnight. I find it won't rise as well. You can still use it though. But I started mine yesterday. You know, like I soaked them yesterday morning.
Okay, good. And so you.
What time?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I soaked them. What was yesterday? Yesterday was before I went to work. So you know, early in the morning. No, actually, the day before. I even soaked them the day before. Then I blended them yesterday morning, and then I left them out all yesterday and all last night.
Alright.
And they were just fine this morning. And now I'll have to put them in the fridge. But yeah, that's what I do.
I know people that keep the batter for days in the fridge.
They do that at Lucid.
Yes.
Also, Rajalakshmi, she was telling me that she makes the batter and keeps it in the fridge for like several days.
Yes.
A lot of it is just trial and errors. If it's a not so sunny a day, you can use an oven. You cover the container, and some ovens are different than other ovens. If you put it 40 degrees Celsius, the oven heats to a higher temperature, so you have to turn it off. That's what, when you were making sourdough, Murthy was saying, she had to do that because the oven wouldn't stay at a consistent temperature. So it depends on there's a lot of factors.
Is there a technical temperature? Is there like a temperature that you would say, this is it, and if you get it in this temperature, you get the perfect batter?
If you're going to put it in the oven, you want it as low as you can get. You know, a lot of ovens cut out when you go under 50.
So like 30 degrees is not enough? You want
I think anything warm, you know, it's just got to be warm.
Just
It's like
warm room.
just think
My
bread,
house in the summer.
bread and sourdough, and
Yeah.
And he put his dough outside yesterday when there was virtually there was a little bit of sun, but it was humid and there was very little sun. But they came out really good.
Okay, to avoid miscommunication,
Write it down.
write it down. Yeah, we document it.
Can you put the times, like all the soaking times and the sitting times and the fridging times, please?
But
I haven't got time
others
now.
can dictate it, you can write it.
I'll write it down for you.
Yeah,
I'll bring it, not right now
because-
because I have to be in Tweed at 12. So.
You have time. You have time to get into it as well. It's just, it takes 5 minutes.
What are we going to write now?
Tradition.
Well,
We'll have
whatever you
tradition.
said.
We won't have a restaurant together, but we'll have a cooking TV show together.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Okay.
So, Marty, you make sourdough.
So these are the other one?
These are the seasons, very, very close.
Do you say the calculation to say in the summertime?
That's the secret. They should come out. That's the proof of the pudding is that they're fluffy and light and airy.
I like the sourness.
Yeah, you like this. I think that's a proper way.
Good job,
Those
Sita.
Idlis are supposed to be.
We want to avoid the fridge.
Yeah, I like the sour.
Tradition,
Yeah.
why I use
It's got a
yellowish? Is it
certain zest to it.
Yeah.
I line the
And with Daniel chutney.
or olive oil.
Oh well, that's another thing.
Leave them in the sun or.
You know, the best thing to do is get one of these spray cans of just canola oil or whatever you use and just spray it on and they just fall off.
How you do?
Until.
Which one's yours? None, you making me
This is Melanies.
Don't try mine.
That was the dough that was in the refrigerator for a week,
For 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And so is mine, Guru Maharaja. My one is also 2 weeks old.
Really?
Yeah. That's why it has that
Nice.
sourness.
It's like a
and
bread.
bit more.
Yeah, I would consider traditions more like a bread, like it's because it doesn't. I haven't tried that because it doesn't have the sourness.
No, I like
I have
mine
to
as
say,
well.
I
I
like
like yours.
That's Manda Maha's recipe.
I like sour. I like the fermented.
I think for a cooking program, to make it unique and a little different, the sourness is necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so cool. I took time off work. I said, I'm leaving the office. I'll see you later. I just left the office. I'll have this for lunch. Take it with me.
Everybody needs any.
It's hard to get them right the first time. You just may have to do a little bit of experiment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like anything.
Cooking is really an art.
It's such an art. And you know what the funny thing with cooking? Even if you use the exact same recipe,
Yeah.
if the temperatures in the room are
Procedures
variable,
are really critical.
suddenly, like this morning I made halva. I used the same recipe I always use. The grain was different, and something, it just didn't happen right, so I had to fix it. So I had to like
Yeah.
add more water, and
Yeah.
most things are fixable, but it's the temperature of the kitchen, or it's
Lot
the
of
grain, or
factors.
it's whatever.
There's so many variables.
Always. I really want to make those as well. It's my dream. So this, yeah, so these are the Idli pans. You just get them from the Indian shop.
Yeah, you might have to
To order.
Yeah.
they have them. But what you do is they fit inside of a container, and the
Yeah.
container has boiling water.
Yeah.
and
So they just
steam up.
steam them. So they're very healthy,
Yeah.
because they're basically the
Rice and
perfect
dal.
mix between rice and dal. So
There was a
protein
snack
is-
bar at the Juhu temple, and every day I ate it every single day
Yeah.
for a month.
Yeah.
That was what I ate.
Yeah, I could definitely live
The thing about Italy is that it's difficult is that it's not a Bengali thing, it's a South Indian thing, and Prabhupada never taught Italy making.
Yeah. So I don't have to go to South India and learn now. I can learn here. I always thought.
Next time you're making them at home, can you try to remember to take notice of the quantity of water?
Oh,
Because
yes.
like I know a lot of cooks they don't need to measure, but
Not only the quantity, but he said that you use the same part of the water, is the water that you soak the dal and the rice in.
yeah, and then with the rice you put all that water in. We don't
No,
know.
you take most of the water out, and better to err on the side of caution. Just take less out, because you can't take the water out once if you've got too much. So you just put less water in, and you'll find when you blend the rice, it'll blend up and liquefy with very little water.
Yeah.
So I take most of the water out actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though it's so.
And then you can always add more as you're blending, like that.
And you said even at the end you're not scared to add water at the end.
No, it doesn't seem to affect it so much, but the urad dal does become very viscous, so I often with my blender it will trip the safety switch, and you have to wait for it.
By viscous, you mean it becomes very sort of solid and hard?
Really thick, Maharaj. It's
thick.
really, you
It
wouldn't think
thickens.
so. It's really thick, and the blender struggles with it.
Yes.
But if you add too much water, then it becomes too thin, and it's like. So.
I have a question. Has anyone ever tried to freeze it?
Yeah, I tried. I tried.
And?
Well, it sort of worked because I would take it out, let it sit on the bench for, I don't know, 15 hours before I actually cooked. But
It
it didn't
defrost.
work as well.
Yeah,
But it worked.
yeah. As a backup, just.
Yeah.
Sita said that Nakunja's always got some.
I know, she's always got, and she makes really wonderful doses. I was wondering, obviously it's going to change the outcome on some level, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Just to have it frozen.
Well, thank you very much, Radish. You were very helpful.
I feel a little embarrassed.
Thanks again. Hari.
I will.
See you later. Thank you.
Oh, it's easier.
So just
It's just a matter of experimenting now.
I want to experiment now. Next time I'll bring mine.
Should we take a picture of this for you?
Yes.
have this on your phone.
Yeah, where's my
I volunteer to be one of Radha's first guinea pigs.
Okay. I miss cooking for you, Maharaj, so much. It's like, why do I not have time?
busy.
I'm very busy. Okay. Yeah. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. Like, I mean, I have to say I'm not a huge fan of idlis. I'm more of a dosa fan. Like, yeah. And I wonder, my biggest question for dosa is the pan. Do you have to have like a specific kind of pan, or is
I
it
think the question should have been put to
try this?
Yeah, you have to ask, because he's the expert
Well,
at doshas.
okay.
Because they make them down.
Yeah.
6 to 8 hours now.
I mean, I've watched Nikunja make them in Brajalakshmi, and theirs are amazing. I think ideally you want one of those really thick.
And not deep.
Yeah, not with the side, not with a log.
They have to be pretty large.
Oh, I'll find something. Here's a chair.
So for Radha, this was Idli making 101, and the next thing will be the delivery speech.
Well, unless someone still has some questions to discuss. Regarding what we heard from Chayadish and what we put on writing. If there's any further discussion regarding this, how much water, how much time, or is it clear now? And we're just gonna try and see what it.
Yeah, I think a maybe different texture, just a little bit, because maybe using a different rice. Because we've all been using idli rice, and then it's just a bit more sort of dry. I don't know how to explain
So
that.
is there an idli rice?
Yeah.
There is such a.
Oh, this was a basmati
You
rice.
use idli rice. He actually thinks that if you use jasmine rice or basmati rice, it's as good or better.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even know that. That's news. So I have to say I like yours the best. So what rice did you?
That was idli rice.
Idli rice. And how does it? I've never even seen idli rice. Is it like similar to basmati?
It's like
very
sushi
short,
rice.
round
So is it more starchy?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very starchy. It's like sushi rice.
Oh, okay.
It's round and small. And,
Okay, good. And so did you follow this procedure?
Well, yeah, I soak two different containers, then I blend them, then mix them together with some salt, and yeah.
How did you get the fermented flavor? Like more, it's more fermented.
Well, the first time I just
Like a sourdough.
just leave it longer. I leave it overnight, and then I cook next day. And then if you do that, then it will puff, but it wouldn't be sour. But next time I take it out because I put it in the fridge, and then next time I need to cook, I take it out for night again. And then it's become a bit more fermented, and then the more it ferments, the more sour it
Do you
is.
warm it up after you've taken it off the fridge?
So while it sits in the fridge, it's still fermenting.
No.
So the fridge stops the fermentation.
Yeah, it's just
So it's only when it's sitting outside of the fridge that it's
And also, try to say it should be warmed up somehow or other. He said put it on the
If you
skin.
keep it covered, it'll naturally warm up
Yeah.
to a degree.
Yeah.
There's no
Because
sense.
the blender causes it to heat up a bit.
Yeah, right.
sometimes if there's a light in the oven and you can just switch on the light, it heats it up as well. Just not switching the oven,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it gives something like 28 degrees maybe.
Mm.
If it's a normal oven.
No, even these ones that I made this time, I just took the completely cold dough out of the fridge and I just left it overnight. I didn't do anything to it. I didn't put it in the warm place, nothing. I just left it there and it was enough for it.
Yeah, that's how Nikunja taught us to do, right? To take just
I don't know why she said to keep it for 5 days. Because her recipe is not very much different from Madan Mahan, apart from half of that rice and salt.
Yeah.
But she, for some reason, told me to leave it for 5 days, and that's overkill. It's just gets.
Yeah, then it's not nice.
Yeah. So that's only.
The one thing that surprises me, which I do differently, Tradish Prabhu mentioned that he blends urad dal until it resembles like breadcrumbs. I don't do that. I blend it until it's smooth and silky, like a paste.
Yeah.
That's how you showed us.
Did you never see it?
Yeah.
Just like, but there is no crumbs of
Well, his is like a really fine paste.
Did he say
It's like
that?
a pancake
I didn't
batter.
hear him say that.
Maybe I
Crumbs.
misunderstood. No?
I didn't hear that either. Or maybe I misunderstood.
It says here, blend separately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I mean, no, they were smooth. Definitely very, very smooth.
So, how much water?
Well, he's saying soak him, and
Yeah.
then get rid of the water, and best to just get rid of all the water, and then use blend. Obviously, if the machine's going to start struggling, you may have to add a little water.
Mm.
But it's better to add the water than to start blending it with the water, because then if you have too much water,
Mm.
you mess it up.
Okay.
Because if you blend it without water, it's very thin. It's like
No.
like you have-
Obviously, when you strain it, there'll be some liquid remaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've
But
been,
not like, nothing measurable, nothing like, oh yeah, you have to have a cup of water, or...
yeah, but we've been making the other recipes, which is rice and dal, and if we didn't have water in that,
Then it would
it
just...
wouldn't be that consistency
Okay.
he showed us. That was thinner than the consistency
That,
that I have, and
Okay.
look at how blobby my ones are.
Yeah.
So he must have quite a bit
Hmm.
of water.
So maybe the difference is that the different kind of rice, because you haven't been using basmati rice. Maybe it's soaked more water than the other rice, so it naturally has more water in it.
I want to go and try it now.
Yeah, one more thing. Pradesh said that we have to clean grains. I was doing that before, but one person told me that you don't do that. You just soak
It takes the starch out.
unrinsed rice and same urad dal. You don't rinse them, you just soak them and you use the same water with rice and with urad dal and then you blend it. But when I did that, when I actually didn't rinse it, it exploded.
With a machine.
Well, that's what I do. I don't rinse it.
Oh, really?
Just because I'm lazy, I suppose. I just and I use the same water for it.
So for me, it makes it more complicated.
So you
So
mean
what-
the water that you're soaking in, that's the water you're using to
Yes.
blend? You're not throwing that and getting clean water?
No.
That's what you mean, yeah?
No, rinsing.
And I also meant that he said clean grains, and I was doing it before, but one person told me you don't do that. You put unrinsed grains and unrinsed rice in a water.
So how you do that? Do you rinse all the grains before?
Well, because Nikunja Seva showed me, she was rinsing it for a very long time. It wouldn't be just once, because she's like, oh, it's very dusty, so she would actually rinse it for like continuously. But then I rinse it maybe twice, and then I just put water in it. I don't
Yeah, that's
like
enough.
wash it thoroughly till the water is clear.
Uh-huh.
And then I
Oh,
just use
okay,
that
probably
water,
not.
but then I also add the usual water because it's still not enough.
Uh-huh.
But it depends how much water you add to your container to soak it. Different people.
You're back?
You forgot something?
Yeah.
Your phone?
Oh,
So now that you're here,
Oh,
Shanish, we have a quick question. So when you say you get rid of your water, I mean, there has to be some water in your grains when you're blending it. How much would you say?
I'm just going to say minimal.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you,
Not that there's a whole heap covering the grains.
right, okay.
Just minimal, because
Minimal.
you'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot of. You blend a bit. If it's too thick, you just add a bit more water. You know, like
What
that.
kind of blender do you use?
I've got a knockoff of a Vitamix
Okay.
High speed.
high speed.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Okay, all the best.
Sorry, Bob.
Right, carefully.
I just think that we should forget everything from the past because Guru Maharaja says he likes tradition.
yeah, I think so.
So stick with this.
Yeah.
It's in a sense it's easier. We just need to give it a try and see how it goes, and then if something goes wrong, just to adjust with Tradish. Just call them and ask questions, and you know.
You have Tridish's contact
Yeah.
details?
Yeah, everyone has
Everyone
Tradish's
here?
contact. Wow.
You have it?
And we can also, if you don't mind, we can create a WhatsApp chat,
A group chat.
a group chat for Idli, Idli katha.
Idli Sangha.
Yeah, it could be helpful actually.
I know when we were doing the kunjas, I thought the problems I was having were just mine. Like the first one, I made the batch and it went mouldy. I was one. I didn't ask anybody, but I just thought, oh, maybe my kitchen's hotter. Or
So we can create the group chat if you don't mind.
So it went moldy when it was out of the fridge?
yeah, because her recipe was to leave it out for 5 days, and that was in the middle of summer.
Okay.
Well, that was
I
extreme.
think that's probably not.
Yeah.
Really? She leaves it
Maybe,
for 5 days?
yeah, well, maybe it's her house like that. That's the thing. I don't know, but that's what she told me. She's like, I just leave it for.
Interesting.
She's like, you make it on Sunday, and then by Thursday it will be ready. She was like,
Wow. Okay, interesting.
Well, if that's all for today, I mean for Idli, we can start the second part of our program.
Which is one.
Is there any other questions regarding Idli, or just give it a try?
I just want to go and try it now.
Oh, right now.
Not right this minute because I got work. And I've got a cake to decorate later and yeah. But we're having a going away for Henrika.
All right, so
Okay. Dosa time.
dosa.
Are we making dosas?
No, what
No,
the
no.
second part of this program is called a disciple meeting, and you're
Oh.
welcome to go
Really?
because you're not a disciple. But if you want to stay, you can. We're just going to have an informal
Pretend to be a
discussion.
disciple for now.
I mean, not a Diksha disciple.
Yeah, you're my inspiration.
All right, well,
I've got half an hour I can stay.
all right. So I'll just start out by saying that I have been in contact with Bhakti Swami, and he's been emphasizing how important it is to always say that Prabhupada is the Param Guru of ISKCON. That people like him and like me and others, well, especially me, I don't know about him, but you know, we have a bit of a dark past, and so in a sense, and he agrees with this, we're like in a classroom, there's a teacher, and then there's the students. Some students are a little more advanced than others, but they're not the teacher. They're just like student teachers. So that's kind of what he thinks that gurus post-Prabhupada are like. Most of them they shouldn't accept, you know, worship and think that they deserve it. Someone once told me that if you if a guru especially surrounds himself with what he called yes men, it will dull your intelligence, and that makes a lot of sense to me. I like it when people argue and they say something is wrong or it's not correct or this and that, and I really like that. But there's a principle in, I don't know, in corporate speak, it's called ex officio. You know the story of the emperor's new clothes, the parable? Well, yeah, I told that in my class today. It's kind of like that you know, the people, the disciples, especially Diksha disciples, tend to think that their guru is a superman, that everything begins and ends with him. And that's not, you know, it's not healthy. It's not healthy for either the disciple or the guru to accept that principle, because that he can do no wrong. Because we all make mistakes. I mean, that's, to err is human is a thing that was quoted by Prabhupada many times. To err is human. The second part of that is to forgive divine. I think it was Alexander Pope, some English poet, who coined that phrase. But Prabhupada liked that a lot. I think I started a book called Proverbs, and I think that because Prabhupada went to Scottish Churches College, and it was an English medium college. It was a branch of Calcutta University. I looked it up. It's not a college per se, and in New Zealand speak, but it's actually a university. So a lot of his teachers were Scottish, and they spoke English to him, and so he learned a lot of these phrases, English phrases from that time that he was at Scottish Churches Colleges. And one of them he learned was, he said in a lecture that isn't there a line from Shakespeare about the poet, the lover, and the madman are similar. And the actual is from it's from a play called Midsummer Night's Dream, and the actual phrase is, the poet, the lover, and the madman are all of a mind compact.